My name is Christy Dunnies. I'm one of your Miami trainers, and we're going to be going over Matrix 501. This is the last Matrix class, so I'm happy that you guys are here. You guys are Matrix pros. I also wanted to mention that you have Maggie Curiel inside of the chat. So if you have any additional questions as we go through the presentation, please feel free to use the chat. Say hello to Maggie Curiel. She's in there with you guys. She's going to be helping you guys out. So we're going to start our class on MiamiRealtors.com. The purpose of this class is to avoid getting into any trouble. So we're going to be going over rules and regulations. We're also going to be going over different policies, how you can access help, where you can verify before you act. And we are going to brush up on new orientation and all of the things that you should be doing if you just joined, if you're returning back into the business, or if you've taken a break and need a refresher. So on MiamiRealtors.com, we're going to be focusing in on this section right here, which is your MLS resource page. So right on the top, you do have an MLS resource page. Before we get started, don't worry, this class has been recorded. It is available for you guys on Miami Realtors Live. Okay, which you can find inside of your Miami gateway. So this recording is already available for you guys. So just relax, enjoy the information. You can always go back into Miami Realtors Live to rewatch it. If you're more of a YouTube fan, we also have that available for you guys too. We have a YouTube page, youtube.com/Miami Trainers. You can search for that information either using our playlist or this little search bar. Right? So it's called Matrix 501. It's available for you guys in both places. Moving back into the MLS section, this is where that's located. I'm going to give it a quick click so that we can access that page. Maggie Curiel has also submitted for you guys an MLS 501 info sheet. This is a great sheet. Just simply click on it to access it. That PDF will download to your computer and you'll have all of the links that we visited today. So inside of MiamiRealtors.com/MLS, we can reach our Miami MLS Resource Center. This has been together or put together for you in order for you to efficiently and effectively list, sell, and lease properties. We house our rules and regulations, forms and applications, and the latest information regarding fair housing initiatives, news, classes, tutorials, help, and tech right in this page. So right on the middle of the page, you're going to have access to those rules and regulations. You have the 2021 MLS policies and procedures, which include the rules and regulations when you're using the MLS. If you were to click on this into this document, it does have 51 pages. So you do want to be familiar with this. You do start off with the purpose of our policies. It moves down into certain definitions of the participating members. This includes your broker and how they participate, how users and subscribers participate, and how others participate. Take the time and focus on how members participate. This is you as a real estate agent. So you do want to review this section on page 3. Moving down, I also wanted to show you that you do have additional information regarding the types of subscribers and the definitions of who they are. Okay, so you have your broker on record. That's your broker of your real estate company, your licensees. This is you guys. And then you have your associated brokers. These are licensees who have upgraded their license. They've taken their brokerages, their broker's license, and they work under the broker of record. You also have your non-licensee personnel, which will include your administrative, your clerical staff, personal assistants are also working inside of the MLS. Know who's your part of your team. You do have your status definitions. Really important to be aware of these because as the listing goes through the process of the sales journey, that status will change. And with each change, it does have different rules on how we can work with these listings. So you do want to be familiar with these. For example, you do have your active under contract. Once the property is placed active under contract, that means that a written offer has been accepted by a seller. and the seller still agrees to continue to show that property and to accept backup offers, which is different from, if I scroll down a little bit, your pending deal. So this listing has an agreement of a sale that's in effect. The settlement has not yet taken place, but the instruction from the seller is to no longer set appointments for showings, and a written offer has been accepted and the listing is no longer on the market. Okay, so they do have different ways that we work with these. For example, even when a property is temporarily off the market. Okay, so when it's temporarily off the market, that listing of that property, the seller has requested to temporarily suspend that property from the market, to not accept any appointments for that showing. And even though the listing is off the market, the contract still exists between the seller and the participant, which is different from when something is withdrawn. Okay, so when something is withdrawn, the listing has been removed from the market, which differs from canceled. Okay, so they all have their different definitions that you want to be familiar with. You also want to be familiar with property type definitions. This is really important, and it's important because based on the property type, we'll determine which documents you're going to be using to contract. It also depends which documents you're going to be pulling to input it into the MLS. So the quickest way to get a notification of a possible fine is to input a listing under the wrong property type. Okay, so you want to get familiar with these. Moving down, you also have your listing agreement definitions. How are you listing this property? Talk to your broker about these. Are you going to be offering an exclusive right of sale, an exclusive agency listing, or an exclusive with exception listing? You also have joint agency and limited service listings. So there's different ways that you can service your customer depending on their needs and depending on how your brokerage operates. You want to get familiar with these and ask those important questions. Moving down, you also have how you will be representing the buyer. Okay, so if you are working with a buyer, are you the transaction broker? And that means you're also listing the property. Are you the buyer agent or are you non-representative? These are three really important definitions. And if you look in the MLS, you can also verify that sometimes the commission doesn't match, right? So transaction broker, buyer agent, non-representative, check out in the MLS. Sometimes those commission amounts differ. Moving down, you have other definitions are really important. You have real estate jargon and what these terms mean. But this is a document of 51 pages. We're not going to go over everything, but I want to make sure to show you a little trick. So when you search inside of a document, you can use on your keyboard the function of control and then press F, and that's going to open up your last search. So I was looking last night, inside of the document for IDX information. So we can see as I inputted the word IDX, it's showing me IDX on this page. So it automatically brought me into the 8th page and highlighted the word IDX. It's telling me that in the document, it's going to show it 156 times. Okay, so if I press enter again on my keyboard, it's going to send me to the next place where IDX is listed, and it's listed under Clear Cooperation Policy. If I press enter again, it's now listed under the public marketing includes. IDX information is listed, and I can keep searching the document until I find what I was looking for. So for example, this is what I wanted: the MLS policy statement, customer service, tech support, and what is IDX. Okay, so this is a great way to search to make reviewing this document easier. These are your rules and regulations. They're available for you. Moving back into the page of miamirealtors.com/MLS, we were under rules and regulations, that 2021 MLS policy and procedure manual. Another section that I want to make sure to highlight for you is your 2021 MLS fines. These are things we don't want to be doing, really important to review, so we're going to review them together. I'm not sure when's the next time that you'll have a moment to review this information. Now, positives about the 2021 MLS fines. The association will always send you a copy of that issue inside of your MLS. They're also going to send an email to your broker. They're also going to give you some time to make that correction. No more than 48 hours, but they will give you some time to make that correction. Things that you want to be aware of. You always want to make sure not to misuse your MLS information. You don't want to provide MLS access to any unauthorized party. The best way to avoid this issue is don't share your logins. You also never want to file any false membership applications or reproduce or distribute portions of the MLS database. Really, really important to the extent that they've highlighted it is violating lockbox and electronic key regulations. So you don't want to provide your e-key uses or access to anyone who's an unlicensed individual, meaning don't let your customers go and see these properties without you. Don't give them access to your super services, to your e-keys. These are your tools. You don't want to share this information. You don't want to share your logins. If you are caught doing that or it's reported, the super service can be terminated and the member will no longer be assigned any form of super services. And this makes it very difficult for you to show property. You don't want to manipulate any of the MLS content, especially associated with where the property is located. So property type, county, city, address, MLS area, folio number, zip code, square footage. You want to make sure that that information is correct. The easiest way to avoid this error is auto-populate your listings. Use the MLS tax roll service. If you've never done it before, we do go into detail on how it is that you can do that in Matrix 401, also available and recorded. Really important though, you never want to manipulate the history and the days of market information. That means you don't want to cancel and relist to make sure that you get eyes on that property. They talk to the seller, they bring down the price, they want to go ahead and cancel and relist. You don't want to do that. You don't want to manipulate the property history in any way. Moving down, you have clear cooperation. We are all agreeing to clearly cooperate with each other. Once you have a property that has been listed with you, you need to put it on the MLS within 1 business day, okay, before going ahead and distributing and marketing it elsewhere. So within 1 business day, you want to go ahead and put that MLS up. When you load a listing, you need to report your changes by the deadline. And that means that you want to make sure that your contact information is correct. They need to be able to email you. You want to notify the the Miami Association if there's anything that's associated with your license happening, a termination, a transfer. You want to let them know within 2 days. Status changes, you want to update those statuses within 2 days. That means if it's gone pending, if it's gone withdrawn, temporarily off the market, etc. Moving down, you also want to make sure that you have a photo. Have a photo that represents the front of that property. So you only have 24 hours to input that photo. Make sure that you have it available when you list. Data integrity. So data integrity is very important, hence why we have so many different data integrity sections. So entering incorrect selling agents is a really big one. So you want to make sure to give them the credit. If you're a listing agent and you're closing the document, if you're not the transaction broker, then your license should not also be closing out that document. You should be using the cooperative agent or the agent that was representing the buyer. Additional rules and regulations that I want to go over. Don't enter any duplicated listings under the same property type. The system will automatically catch that and send you information. You also want to make sure to disclose that you're an owner agent if you are. You want to make sure to disclose if there's a variable or dual rate in commission. What does that mean? That means that when you got the listing, the amount of commission going towards you as the listing agent is different from the commission going towards the representative of the buyer. If that's a different commission, you want to disclose that you have a variable dual rate, and that's a section in the input form. You want to make sure that you have valid, correct brokerage representation. You want to make sure that you secure your sellers. broker, or office manager signature in the MLS status change form. I'm going to show you this form. There's a lot of information that you can update using the MLS status change form. You want to update your expected closing date. So if once a property is put on pending, right, so it's ready to close, you're going to have an expected date where you're expecting to close this property. If you have an extension, go back in and update that information. You also want to fill out and correctly record the buyer's country of origin. If in the US, record the buyer's state. This information is really important when we're creating those statistics that help us with our business. Coming soon listings. So listings being shown before they go active, that's a big no-no. Offers being accepted before they go active, big no-no. Properties being listed, coming soon status more than once a year will bring up an issue, and you also do not want to publicly market anything before it goes live or it has an active date. This includes no flyers, no signs, no digital marketing, brokerage website displays, digital communication, multi-brokerage sharing networks. This all has to do with your clear cooperation. Once you have a listing, do not market it until it's active on the MLS. And that simple rule will make sure that you avoid most of these fines or any fines associated with the coming soon listing. Okay. Where can you find this? I'm going to exit out, and that's available here, MLS. So realtors.com/MLS, new 2021 MLS fines. Scrolling down, I did mention that I want to show you your status change form. So under your forms and application, you have quite a lot of information here. You have your coming soon authorization form. If you want to put this into play, you do have the form that's available for you. Aside from that, I wanted to show you your written permission to advertise. If you want to advertise a property that's not already listed as okay to advertise, select your written permission to advertise. Click it open. All you would have to do is put in your request, put your office information, your broker manager name, your signature, contact information, and the date. Provide the MLS number, when you're going to be advertising this information, and go ahead and fill out your permission to advertise, right, with your name and the listing agent's information. You then want to go ahead and get that over to them and have them approve it before you move forward with advertising. The status change form, super important, guys. Status change form, you can do so much on here. You want to make sure to fill out what's red. This is mandatory fields. So you always fill out your MLS information, address information, and listing office ID. With the status change form, you can change the price, do an extension of your listing, transfer a listing. You can also put it back on the market, withdraw it, cancel it, or temporarily remove it from the market. You can also update status changes, right? So you can put it as active with a contract, pending, or closed. When you're filling out your pending or closed information, make sure to input your sold price, the selling agent ID, which is the representative of the buyer. You also want to input their selling office, if the seller contributed any additional commission, the buyer's country of origin, your financing information, and on the right-hand side, select your contingencies, furnishing information, and the intended use. Get it signed. So sign it, have it signed by the seller, print and sign, have it signed by your broker, and you sign it as well. This form cannot stand alone for all of these changes. There's many of these options that do require additional documents for you to be able to make that change. For example, if you want to change that contract status or that listing status, you do need that executed contract to make the changes. So make sure to communicate with your broker. Make sure that you do have the proper documentation before making any changes. And the best way to avoid getting into any trouble is verify. Verify with your office manager, verify with your broker, verify with a legal hotline if you'd like, of Florida Realtors. I do want to show you that you do have a legal hotline. Really important if you take anything away from this class, this is a big one. So as Florida Realtors, you have a hotline and they answer your questions at no cost. They're only going to ask you for your license number. They are licensed they're licensed attorneys that are available for you. They're provided from Florida Realtor. This is at no additional cost. It's a free benefit. It's part of your membership. Give them a call, 407-438-1409. Their hours are 9 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. Monday through Friday. So they're going to ask you for either your license number or your NRDS number, and you can ask them, and you get to speak with a private attorney who represents members of the Miami Association of Realtors. Okay, so call them with ethic questions, MLS questions, procuring cost questions. They're here for you. Moving out of the MLS status page. These are your hot topics. Really important. You have your fair housing advertising. This is where you can find a video of information regarding fair housing. You don't want to discriminate others in any way. You want to make sure that your verbiage is correct and that we are functioning to represent fair housing advertising guidelines. So you do have that available here. It's a video. And if I scroll down to the right-hand side, I have additional information that I can review. This includes fair housing and steering, fair housing and diversity, equality and inclusion, senior housing and mental health challenges, senior housing and reasonable modifications. So this is really important that you take the time to review this information. A follow-up to this, if you scroll right back up and take a look on your left-hand side, you have a fair haven in town every realtor should visit. Okay, this is basically a simulation where they're going to ask you questions based on real examples of situations that you're going to run into. And as you answer the questions, it'll give you a yay or nay as to whether you are responding correctly and how would be the best way to do so. Moving into the MLS forms and applications. If you are going to have an unlicensed assistant, take a look at your unlicensed assistant application. It's available for you. And under your hot topics, you have your unlicensed assistant permissible actions or activities. So if you are going to have an assistant, really important to look at the things that they can and they can't do. They can do quite a lot for you. They can answer the phone, they can fill out and submit information, right? They can do quite a lot for you as agents. You never want to put them in a situation where they're discussing price or negotiating anything. So review this and make sure that you guide your assistant in the best way possible to make sure that none of you get into any trouble. Moving down, you have your tutorials and information. Learn your MLS coverage area maps. Where do you cover? Part of Southeast Florida. So Miami MLS includes all of the listings of these two counties. Of these counties and our members throughout our two data sharing partners. So you do have access to St. Lucie listings, Martin listings, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami. Scrolling down, you do have additional information regarding the MLS, like a quick start, matrix user guides, and frequently asked questions. You also have matrix tutorials that are available for you. We also have new open house options as well. Okay, so you want to look at in-person and virtual open houses. Now they're as popular as ever to do a virtual open house. This is basically how to set them up in Matrix. We go into detail on how it is that you can do this in 401. But simply in a few easy steps, when you add that virtual open house, you would simply select that you're interested in the virtual options that'll be listed. Moving down to help and technical support. If you have any questions about the MLS, you have a phone number that you can reach, 888-825-5472. You want to make sure to give them a call. If you're unfamiliar with that input field, you can always give them a call. They're available Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. They're also available on the weekend. If you rather do the research yourself, that's okay. We have a fields definition guide for you. And this is going to break down all of the different property types. You see them here on the right hand side, and it's going to define every single input when you're filling out a listing, right? So it makes it easier for you, but always verify that information. Make sure that you're inputting it accurately. And I'm going to take a look onto my left hand side, and I want to show you the top 10 MLS violations and issues. I'm going to click on these. These are real situations that do happen and things that can be reported, and other agents can report you as well. So if you come across a listing that is active in the MLS, it's perfect for your customer, but it's not available for you to show. That's the pushback. You can't show it. Appointments are denied. It's under contract, but you look on the listing and it's active. You can report this. If you have a new listing that just came on the market and the remarks say no showings, you can report this. If you're the selling agent of a property and the listing agent incorrectly entered themselves as the selling agent, which we just discussed, meaning they didn't give the buyer agent any credit, this can be reported as well. A listing agent is using photos that do not belong to them. If they're your photos and they didn't ask for any permission, this can also be reported. Same thing with remarks, it can be reported. If you drove past a property that says for sale sign and it's not on the MLS, you can also report that property. If you just received an email flyer for a coming soon property and it's not on the MLS, you can also report this. If you called to make an appointment for your customer to see a rental and the agent asked for a criminal record before giving you access to view the property, this is also a reportable offense. If you submitted an offer to purchase and the listing agent hasn't responded to you, they haven't called you or emailed you or text messaged you, and you have no idea whether your offer was actually presented to the seller, this can also be reported. If you've called, text, emailed, or requested an appointment to view a property and the listing agent is non-responsive, they can also report you. So you want to make sure that you always respond. Take a second, even if you're not, even if it's to say, I will contact you in the next hour, for example, if you're in the middle of a showing, you always want to be able to respond to everyone. Okay, so really important, you have on the right-hand side the right resources. I want to show it to you. This is everything virtual. So if you need tips to how to do a virtual open house, a tour, a showing, a meeting, basics on Zoom, how to work from home, this is a great section that you have available, the right resources. You have upcoming MLS classes that are always going to be here, as well as daily updates. You have your MLS Input Forms. These are a great resource for you in order for you to just verify all of the information before you start inputting into the MLS, so you know the required fields that you're going to need. Moving down, I did want to show you your preferred photography information. I want to show it to you because we add pictures when we list property. So you want to make sure that you use a photographer, not necessarily that's part of our preferred photography program, even though it's here and available for you, but you want to make sure that you own the copyright, okay, so that you're using that photo in the correct way. Some companies or some photographers will allow you to list it during the length of the property, right? So during the length of the listing, but once you sell that property, if you want to do any additional advertising and you don't have the copyright, you might not be able to. So own the copyright. This is really important that you ask. If you are interested in using some of our preferred photographers, you can click on the right hand side where you have that preferred photography information. One second. Just took a little sip of water. you do have all of the different companies that are available for you. And if you click on them, you're going to have additional information like where are they located, what's their phone number, and you can see their website. If you click on them through our database, they're also going to highlight their hours of operations, information about them, the services that they give you. And on the right hand side, you have your highlights. You have example of their work. They've been used before, right? You have video examples and photo examples as well. So just to avoid getting into any issues regarding photography and copyright problems. Another section that I wanted to show you was miamirealtors.com/orientation. Really important. You also have it on that page that Maggie sent over to you, but this section has a lot of really important information. If you're a new member, make sure to do this checklist. Attend your new member orientation, master your MLS, get your Supra and your E-key, your Super E-key and your lock boxes, and be familiar with those MLS rules and regulations. You also have your new member orientation class material here. So if you've already taken it and you want to review that information, you can review it here. You have your new member packet with your code of ethics information. I suggest taking your code of ethics. You do have a cycle, so if you haven't taken it as of yet, it is a mandatory class that you want to take. In your code of ethics, they're going to talk to you about your best business practices. They're going to talk to you about your code of ethics. They're going to talk to you about Miami Realtor bylaws, your industry standards, your company policies, and they're also going to be talking about your federal, state, and local laws that change within each state. So really important to just take this class, make sure that you understand it. Going back, I did want to show you that you also have your do's and don'ts. This is available right here, your realtor's do's and don'ts, which we're going to review now. Not sure when you'll be able to do this again, so let's take advantage of our time here. When you're showing a property, these are things that you should do. Some of these are obvious, but sometimes we have to reread them just to take a look. Also, if you do have a positive standard of conduct when you're working with other realtors see that in other realtors and they tend to want to work with those people. When you are showing property, make sure to return appointment calls promptly, follow instructions when you're showing that property, arrive on time, leave a business card, and leave the property as it was when you got there. Meaning, turn off the lights if they were off when you got there. Close the drapes, the blinds, whatever you opened, locked all the doors. When you're leaving, check all the doors, even if you didn't open them. Don't smoke in the property. Qualify your buyer before showing. And you want to notify the listing agent if there appears to be any inaccurate information on that listing. Report anything suspicious, any odors, broken locks, windows, etc. Become familiar with the property before you show it. And then if there's an agent inside of the property, just wait until they leave, and then you can go ahead and make your way through that property. Also, really important, leave the thermostat as the setting when you arrived. Offers to purchase and contracts. You have your other dues. So use the most current version or contract. You can do that by going through Form Simplicity or Dot Loop. Include your license number on the contract. It's much easier to be able to give you that credit if you're representing that buyer, if they have your license information. Present all of your offers before accepting any. You also want to present them in the order in which you receive them. Remember that listing agents are the ones that present the offer. So if you're a buyer representative, you don't want to overstep that listing agent. But the listing agent can invite the selling agent to be present while the offer is being presented. Again, that's optional though. You want to prepare qualifying information for the listing agent. You want to allow privacy so that the listing agent and the seller can discuss the terms of the offer. Encourage the seller to put a counter or reject offer in writing. In writing is always your best bet. Specify in writing what stays in the property. Fill out all forms pertaining to the contract. Leave copies of the contract for the forms for buyers and sellers. Provide final contracts to all parties. After the signatures have been certified, verify that buyers have applied to the loan. Keep track of your time for loan commitment and extensions. Notify the listing agent in writing if the loan is approved, and just keep track of all due dates, inspections, and appraisals. These are courtesies that we like to share. So remember that Realtor's Code of Ethics, you want to do unto others as you would like them to do for you. Identify yourself immediately when you're calling an office. Let them know your name, your real estate company. Divulge any permanent information to the selling agent. Give explicit directions when you're giving them. Fill out listing forms with detail. Have access to the property with keys. Return keys to the listing office as soon as possible when you have borrowed them. Make sure that the keys that you took from the lockbox, you put them back. Contact cooperating agents or brokers to negotiate if there's any conflict on procuring causes. Respond promptly to all inquiries. Make calls to other realtors during normal business hours if possible. You also want to leave clear messages so that they're able to get back to you. Respect other agents' family time and get involved in local board. So we do mention this because we are independent contractors, and these are things that you should not do. Okay, so standard of conduct that realtors should not do. Don't show without an appointment. Don't contact the seller directly. Don't leave trash on the property. Don't smoke. Don't let kids wander. Make sure to call if you're going to cancel. Don't criticize the property in the presence of the occupant. Do not talk to the seller about the potential contact terms when you're showing. Do not rearrange any of the furniture. Don't leave the doors unlocked. Don't forget to leave a business card. And don't forget about that thermostat. Offer to purchase. Do not hold offers and present them at your convenient time. Do not hold offers to purchase, waiting for other offers, and don't alter that contract yourself. As courtesies, we do want to provide all property information to the co-broker, and it cannot be branded. Do not communicate any conflict between the broker and the agents to the buyers or the sellers. Do not offer a property at any price or terms not outlined in writing by the seller. Don't allow lockbox keys out of your possession. That means you don't ever want to give them to anyone else. Okay, you put them in the block box when you're done. Don't solicit for future listings on a current listed property. Don't communicate with the co-broker's client, and don't advertise other agents' listings without permission. So really important, you want to make sure that you also are placing your signs correctly based on the rules and regulations of that county and that city. And all signs need to have your company name, and you do not want to promote any type of false advertising. Complaints can be filed for unlicensed activity, and that information is www.state.fl.us/DBPR. You also have a phone number, 866-532-1440. They can also file it against an individual on the myflorida.com site. They can also file it against a mortgage broker. And you also can file an ethics complaint against a realtor on www.miamire.com under the association tab. Okay, so I'm glad that we were able to review the do's and don'ts. A lot of them, like I mentioned, are kind of like a common sense, but sometimes you want to review that information. Moving down, be aware of your realtor pledge, right? So you do have a realtor pledge. I am a realtor. I pledge myself to strive to be honorable and to abide by the golden rule, to strive to serve well my community and through it my country, to abide by the realtor's code of ethics and to strive to conform to conduct to its aspirational ideals, to act honestly in all real estate dealings, to protect the individual right of real estate ownership and to widen the opportunity to enjoy it, to seek better, to represent my clients by building my knowledge and competence. Okay, so really important just to be true to that realtor pledge and to review your path of success regarding real estate. So as you click this open, this is a great form that you can review what you should be taken based on how long you've been in the business. You can also go back and review this information and see if there's any holes in your education. When you're just getting started, you want to make sure to take that new member orientation and includes your code of ethics. Take your matrix classes, learn how to transact using form simplicity or dot loop, understand how to use Supra, how to schedule appointments, and use your tax roll services like IMAP and RPR. You also want to learn how to do your CMA, and you can do that learning Matrix X MLS 301. It also talks about data and statistics, additional information on how to work with buyers and sellers. Get to know Proxio Connect if you're interested in working with international agents. You also want to learn about Remind, Agent 3000, HomeSnap Pro for marketing. Within your first 180 days, you also want to go ahead and be able to complete that 45-hour post licensing if you're a new agent. You also want to start to niche that property. Pick your specialty and see what it is that you really like and enhance your career by selecting a designation. You then, of course, have the ability to, after 2 years, get your broker's license. Going back, I did want to show you that you do have the option to get involved with YPN. And moving up, really important, you have this information regarding trademark. So it's really important to use NARS membership marks, including realtor logo and terms of realtor, realtor associate, correctly. So there is rules that are outlined inside of the membership, and we do have this video that I'd like to play for you.
Hi, I'm Mark, the valiant defender of the National Association of Realtors Trademark. The real estate world is kind of crazy at times, isn't it? You've got to advertise yourself and your listings to keep up, but you still need to be genuine and honest. Can't go overboard. And on top of all that, there's the internet. Got to keep up with things like Facebook and Twitter. So how do you do it? How do you manage to stand out, but stay authentic and trustworthy? Simple. If you're a member of the National Association of Realtors, you use the mark. The Realtor mark tells everyone around you that you are more than just a real estate licensee. You are special. You are trustworthy. You adhere to a code of ethics that protects clients, the public, and other real estate people. Using the mark tells people that you are committed to ethical practice and high standards of real estate service. Okay, but here's the thing. If all members don't use the mark correctly, no one gets the benefits it provides in delivering that important message. None. Nada. Zip. Zilch. In fact, when members use it incorrectly, that use actually diminishes the unique meaning of the mark and therefore diminishes its value. All right, so how do we go about using it correctly? Well, a few simple rules can help us preserve and promote the meaning and value of the mark for years to come. To start with, be sure you don't use realtor as a generic term for real estate agent. It means member of the National Association of Realtors. Now, since it identifies you as a member, you should use the realtor mark with your name or the name of your firm. Something like John Smith, Realtor, or Sunshine Realty Realtors, or even www.johnsmithrealtor.com. But when it's used with a description or interchangeably as a job title, it can sound like it just refers to anyone in the real estate business, regardless of whether they're a member or not. For example, your hometown realtor, even if you're a member, is incorrect. Remember, realtor means member, so it doesn't make sense to say your hometown member, does it? No matter where we use the term, on a flyer or a website or even on Facebook, using it correctly preserves and promotes the value for all of us. These and other rules about style and form may seem inconvenient at times, but all of them are intended to preserve the value of the mark. With a little help from realtors everywhere, all members can continue to enjoy the benefits the mark offers for years to come. To learn more, check out the Realtor trademark page on realtor.org.
Okay, guys, another section that I wanted to cover for you aside from that realtor legal hotline, I also wanted to show you that you also have a Florida Realtor Tech Hotline that offers free support to members. So this is available for you. The Florida Realtors Tech Helpline is going to help you in all things tech. So it'll support you in maximizing your business tools. It'll advise you on shopping hardware, software, digital information, how to install and configure new hardware. It's also going to help you diagnose your computer, help you get the best performance out of the equipment. It's also going to help you work through any system failures. And this again is at no additional cost for you. It's available and it'll help you to stay out of trouble. So I hope that you guys got a lot from this class. You do have, again, that page that we distributed, which is your 501 page, which has in great detail all of the information of this class that you can always go back and review. Okay, so you do have that Miami Trainers page. You're going to have your Miami Trainer information. That's our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and email. So email us if you have any questions, trainers@miamire.com. If you have a question for me, my email is christy@miamire.com. We also highlight our class calendar and our trainer page. You can also find your recordings on Miami Realtors Live and our YouTube channel. The page that Maggie shared will also have the links to that NAR trademark video that we watched, the new member orientation materials that we reviewed, as well as the new Miami Realtor legal updates. You're also going to have privy to your Miami Realtors MLS rules and regulations, fines, and clear cooperation information. You're also going to have a playlist to OK to advertise playlist. Really important. You can do this on Matrix. Inside of Matrix, you can go ahead and search for properties that are okay to advertise. And that means that they've already been designated by their broker and their real estate agent to be able to advertise without additional permission. We have an entire playlist dedicated to this. You can find that information, or one of the playlists will highlight how you can find different properties inside of Matrix that are okay to advertise. So you would simply go into your Miami dashboard and click on Matrix. Once you click on Matrix, you want to go ahead and start a search. So let's say I was searching either a single family or a condo. I would scroll all the way to the bottom and I would add that additional feature to say okay to advertise. And I'm going to select yes, attribution not required. I'm then down to 224 matches that are available for me to show. Okay, let's say I'm going to select the city of Aventura, which is my farming area, for example, and I'm going to take a look at those results. All of these properties are okay to advertise, meaning, again, they've already been okayed by their brokerage, they've already been okayed by their agent. That means I can advertise these properties. Inside of the playlist, we talk to you about the different programs that you can use to advertise these listings. This will make sure to keep you out of trouble regarding advertising. Okay, so going back into that page, this is that information regarding okay to advertise. It breaks down also all of the different forms of okay to advertise and how it works. We do discuss your status change requirements, how to request for the presentation to offer, temporary guidelines, coming soon information. We also link that field definitions that we reviewed, the fair housing guidelines that we talked about, and then regarding signage or your open house signs, we've linked Miami-Dade and Broward counties for housing ordinances that you want to review. And I hope that you enjoyed the class, guys. This particular class, mine will be up in a few days, but it's already recorded to review. Whenever you'd like to rewatch it, inside of your Miami Gateway, you have that program on that top row, Miami Realtors Live. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for joining us on a Monday morning. Great way to start your week. Thank you, Maggie, for all of your help inside of the chat. I hope to see you guys very soon. Have a great day. And if you'd like to take the whole class again in Spanish at 11, we'll be here. Bye, everyone.